Quick introductions. This is Ricky Bursai, president of OGCB Inc. Can you briefly describe what OGCB does?
Yes, we're a consulting engineering firm, and we provide in mechanical and electrical, those two disciplines, which is made up of HVAC, plumbing, fire protection, and electrical. We provide consulting engineering services for those disciplines, and that mainly involves putting together specifications and drawings for construction documents.
Can you take us real quick from owner wants to build a building to the building and where you come in?
Okay, and this will be the standard process.
Yes,
because
I know it.
A million variations.
Pretty crazy.
A million variations. But if an owner wants to build a building, they will contact an architect.
Right.
The architect leads them through a phase. It begins with programming, where he says, what do you want in your building? And then how these spaces relate to one another. And from this kind of information, he puts together a building plan. The architect hires consultants, and typically they'll hire us for mechanical, electrical. They will hire a structural engineer,
which is Burr & Cole next door.
Burr & Cole's the structural engineer next door. That's right. And then if it's a new building that requires any site work, site development, like it may be an unused site that has to be developed and with utilities and that sort of thing, or grading, a civil engineer will be hired. The architect hires these consultants. We put together a set of drawings and then a book of specifications that define what that building is in great detail. One of the contractors is awarded the job. They build the building. What we do is observe his work on the owner's behalf and see that the work is being done according to the drawings and specifications that were prepared. Is
there a set of ethics or a written rule or guideline, written rules or guidelines for engineers?
There are a couple of places for that. In our industry, in order to prepare design documents for construction, it requires the stamp of a professional engineer. Laws, there are bylaws and rules and regulations about what professional engineers should or shouldn't do, or can or cannot do. In addition to those rules, and every state has their own rules. In addition to that, there is NSPE, the National Society of Professional Engineers. They have published
the set of canons?
Right, exactly, canon of ethics.
Architect or a specifier has requested a need that couldn't be met with the project budget or due to actual physical constraints, and how did you handle it?
There definitely has been that situation. Say if you can see that someone's planning a design in this direction and you know there are going to be code problems. We as engineers are really required to hold our hand up. You would have to make that known, and that's for everybody's benefit.
And I think that covers the next one, about putting people in risk. If there's some risk, then you bring it up and you cite code.
Yeah, that is the engineers. One of our main reasons for being is to protect the public, and and the public includes a client, but it is protect the public. When we design a boiler room, if we don't design the flue system correctly or have the combustion air that the piece of equipment needs, that's something that can and has killed people. There can be some choices to be made. None of the choices can be to select a dangerous system, but sometimes there are acceptable choices in terms of how far do you go to make things safe. So you've got to educate the owner on what the risks are.
Okay. Has your company ever turned down or left a job because you could not continue with certain current circumstances? They simply would not allow a budget high enough for you to, with a peace of mind, inspect the building.
Right. We have definitely turned down work like that before.
Right.
Yes.
Just a few more questions.
Yeah.
With the new developing technologies, a big part of our course is sort of the way technology has shifted over the years and trends that emerge. Have you seen any trends that have changed the construction industry that may make things easier or harder for you as a consulting engineer?
Definitely. And with AutoCAD or any kind of computerized drafting system, as opposed to drawing on paper. When I started in this business, we drew on paper, and copies were made of that paper and distributed. And now it is both a help and causes some trouble, the fact that we draw in a computer file. There are some legal challenges with having files that are so easily copied and distributed.
Security issues.
Exactly. Security issues, which are a legal liability for design professionals, because people will take your plans and try to use them elsewhere, and if something goes wrong, they have actually been known to sue the person that prepared those documents, even though they had no knowledge they were being used over here.
Just one last question. There's been obviously a very recent emphasis on green engineering, stability or sustainability. I know Jim Perlman here is a LEED certified. Of course, in every engineering ethics course or seminar, or whatever, they will review cost versus safety and cost versus environmental. How high up does environmental ethics come into OGCV designs, would you say?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't think I would recommend anything environmental that would also be very much of a safety concern for any kind of occupants. So I think safety trumps sustainability, or trumps cost, or almost everything else. Safety would trump.
I think that just about does it. Thanks.
Okay.
It's been a lot of help.
Great.
Thank you, Rick.
Tony. Great.
All right. So what what was the most important thing that Ricky told you?
The ethics that I was taught is, if you're about to do something, ask yourself this: how would this look on the 6 o'clock news if it was on the news tomorrow? If I do this thing, that's it.
There we go.